Hey, 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 what's good, beautiful people? Welcome to my channel. My name is Shella, or you can call me your lawyer bestie. And I am an admitted attorney of the High Court of South Africa who, once upon a time, thought that admission was the only thing or the only way to go with an LLB degree. And boy, oh boy, was I wrong. And I have started the series on non-traditional legal careers to showcase to people that admission really isn't the only thing and that you can do so much more with just your LLB degree. And Danielle is a proof of that. She is our guest today, and I am so amped to have her. She shares so many gems on this episode, some of which I have been stating on here. Things like job shadowing, just putting yourself out there, networking, using LinkedIn effectively. She has done that, and that has worked wonders for her career. So she says that she could not do articles because of the low salary associated with doing your articles. And through networking and just putting herself out there, she landed exactly where she needed to be. This is a great episode, and you need to watch right till the end because she drops a whole lot of gems. So please like this video if you enjoyed it, and drop down to the comment section if you have a question or a comment for me or Danielle, and share this episode with somebody who you think will find it useful. Don't gatekeep. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Danielle, thank you so much for joining me on my channel. I absolutely appreciate you taking the time to be here to speak about your journey. I am utterly excited for this interview, and I actually hope that you enjoy being here with me and my subscribers. So please just start by introducing yourself.
Firstly, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm super excited to also feature on your channel because I'm a big fan. So my name is Danielle Hayward, and I am a contract and compliance specialist. So what that basically means is that I help our clients to make sure that everything they do is above board, legally speaking. And most of our clients are entrepreneurs or they are business owners. I have a BCom law and LLB degree, and I'm currently busy with my LLM in corporate law at UNISA. So I'm somebody who really likes to learn new things, and I love to constantly improve myself. I'm also a podcast host, so I have 2 podcasts that I host. So the one it's called Justice in Heels, and I started it about 2 years ago. And basically, I just interview female legal professionals who are making a massive difference in the communities on legal subjects that affect a lot of the people in the community.
I love that. So with your work as a, contract specialist, and you're also in compliance, what do you do on a daily basis when you go to work in the morning? Take us through an average day in your life at work.
So I'm very blessed to work from home since the beginning of 2025. So when I first started working in compliance, I used to go to the office. But the nice thing was also the office was literally 7 minutes from my house. So that was also really nice. But okay, so it doesn't really matter whether I work from home on the day or whether I go to a client on the day. The day is basically almost the same. So usually I would start in the morning with contracts. So you wouldn't believe it, but there's literally a contract every day that needs to be drafted. So this would usually be something like a share agreement, or maybe even something like a rental agreement. So I would do that. And then I also check compliance with everything on CIPC and SARS. So I make sure that so I have a little list, and then I look to see which clients actually needs to file their beneficial ownership declarations and things like annual returns. And then I would also do that for them. And we also do, or I also do, a bit of HR work at the company where I'm at. So once every month, I go to the company that we do the HR for the client in Johannesburg, and then I meet with all of the employees, and I just hear if they are happy, and basically just if they have any concerns, if there's any new hires, then we go through the employment contracts, all of that little things. So yeah, that's basically how my day looks like. It's just like checking that everything is above board the entire time and then just like handling it as it comes.
Yeah. Yeah, so you mention agreements, you mentioning,
Mm.
I mean, checking compliance, and when it comes to things like agreements, this is something that is asked a lot in board exam preparations, or in the board exam actually, where you will get, the different types of, agreements that candidates have to draft. So I just wanted to ask, because you are not admitted, do you think that you not being admitted is actually to your disadvantage in your role, because you've never really been through that? You've never been a candidate attorney, you've never written the board exams. Do you think all that is a disadvantage, considering what you do?
So what I would say in my case personally, and to most people that I know that are in compliance, it's not to our detriment because we have some experience in law. So I've been working since I was 19. So literally like I studied part-time and worked full-time. And I started working in law, I think the first law firm in 2020. So I have quite
Mm.
a lot of experience working in law firms, drafting agreements, and sometimes going to court to do things. So I think what's important is if you want to go into compliance, if you don't want to get admitted, then you must just make sure that you actually have some practical experience working in law firms or working for a legal consulting firm or anything like that. Because you do actually
Mm.
learn a lot of things, that you may not know by just going to varsity.
Mm, that's actually true. And you're right when you say that you do have, some knowledge on law. You are a law graduate. So it's not that you did the degree for nothing. There are some things that you learned in university that you can use there as well. So speaking of university, I want you to take us through your university journey, right? So I always say that in university, admission is thrown in our face all the time, and most of us usually think that admission is the only thing that we can do with our LLB degree. So, considering the fact that you also went through that, you also had admission thrown in your face, how did you get to a point where you're not admitted? Like, when did you make the decision that, you know what, I'm not going to be admitted?
So the funny thing is, I think a lot of people think that you go into alternative routes of law if you can't find articles, but that's not necessarily the
Yes.
case. Yeah, like for me, from the beginning, when I started, so the reason I started with a BCom law degree was I've
Mhm.
always had my eye on going into corporate, so doing something in a business environment. I didn't really want to become a lawyer, get admitted. That wasn't my plan. So I wanted to do that, or I wanted to go into academics as well. So I did my
Oh,
BCom,
no.
worked, got experience, law firms, all of that. Did my LLB, and then I think it started to hit me, like let's say in the last semester of my LLB, where a lot of people started to put pressure on me. So a lot of people would
Of
say, oh,
course.
but why don't you just get admitted? Oh, why don't you it's just 2 years of your life. Just do it, get it over and done with. And the thing is, like, to be completely honest and to be completely vulnerable, I literally almost got like a mental breakdown because it's not something, firstly, that I wanted to do, but also it's not something that I could do. Reason I'm saying it wasn't something that I could do is obviously the salary is very low if you become a candidate attorney. And I've been financially independent since I've been 19. It was very important to me to pay my own studies and, to look after myself because it's not my parents' responsibility to do
Yes.
that. It's just what I
Yes.
felt. And I had okay, I had a lot of student debt. So I couldn't see how I could afford to work for let's say 8,000 Rand a month and pay my study
100%.
fees. And then you have all of these other expenses if the law firm doesn't pay it for you. So things like the bag that you use, maybe like you're paying to get to do your legal law school. That's
The
also quite
PLT is
expensive.
expensive.
It's so
Yeah.
expensive, and a lot of employers won't cover that for you. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
literally, it
Mm-hmm.
was sure, literally, I couldn't. And I spoke to my husband, and he just said, "Listen, I don't want you to go into something that you don't want to do just because everybody
Yeah.
is pushing you to do
Is
that."
doing
And
it. Yeah.
so the funny thing is, so I got offered articles through LinkedIn at free firms. And then I kind of preliminarily accepted one of the offers. And
Mm-hmm.
again, my heart was not into it. And then literally like a day later, when I had to give them my final decision,
Yeah.
somebody contacted me from the firm where I work now, the accounting firm that I work now. And they said, listen, don't you want to come and work for us? Like we have a position open and it's going to be just for now, like a few months, but you can come and we would love to have you. And I said, you know what? I'm going to pursue this. Let me see. And literally,
Yeah.
I was supposed to work there for 3 months. And
Mm-hmm.
a week later, literally a week after I started working, the directors called me in and they said, listen, we're super impressed. We want to keep you on. So we're creating this position for you. And you can be our compliance and contract specialist. So it was just like a
Oh
godsend. I'm
wow.
very religious. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
very religious. So I just felt like this was something from God that just like helped me because I don't know. If I look back now, it was really a godsend.
No, absolutely. I love that you touched on the, mental health and how,
Mm,
all these things affect us. I hopped into practice because I thought that's the only thing I could do with my LLB degree. And
mm,
the money that was spent for me to get admitted was a lot. And, we had to pay for law school, had to make sure that I go through law school. And I took the cheapest option, not because I wanted to do it part time, but because I could not do it full
yeah.
time. All right. So I took the cheapest option, and now I had the pressure because I wrote board exams and I didn't pass. Now it's like, okay, what's going to happen now? You still have to incur more costs. You have to pay for this, you have to pay for that. And it was so expensive. And I think when we are considering career paths, expenses are usually not included in the factors
Mm,
that we consider. But if anybody's watching and you are considering admission is not bad, but consider the
mm.
cost as well because it can weigh so heavy on you. Like Danielle, you're saying that, you've been working since you were, very young, from 19 years. You could not afford, to leave a proper salary for a CA salary. So I love that you touched on that fact. These are things that are real issues that people are facing. I get questions like, is there any other way of doing articles? Like, can I do articles in the evening only? And I'm like, unfortunately, you can't. At this point, it's still a full time thing.
And just something that I also want to add is the thing is, if there was this option for you, if it was easy for you to also have like a second job, for example, or a side hustle that brings in some money to supplement, that would be okay. But obviously, as you know, the rules
Exactly.
are so strict. So a lot of people
Very
can't
strict.
even say, listen, I'm going to tutor at night, or I'm going to go waiter at night, or whatever. You can't do that. You have
You
to
can't do
literally declare
that.
all of that. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
it's hard if you don't have that support or financial support from either a firm or a
Yes.
family. Yeah.
That's absolutely true. And I also just like the fact that you touched on mental health, that your heart was not in it. And I think that's also something that's very important to consider when you're going into any space. You should have some level of like for it. You need to, like it to a certain extent to want to pursue it, as opposed to just going in there because there's a vacancy open. So I think you absolutely did so well by choosing your mental state over just a random job, because I did that. I did
Shine.
that in the beginning of my career. I was just like, I thought admission and being an attorney was what was expected of me.
Mm.
That was the expectation. So I thought, let me meet the expectation, and my mental health paid for it. I paid for it with my mental health, but it's all good now. We are here.
Can I ask you a question? So, do you think
Yeah,
it was
sure.
expectations from other people or more expectations from yourself because you thought that, listen, this is what I need to do. I need to accomplish this, or a bit of both?
Um, it was more like I had no idea what else there was to do. So I, start my first year. What are we doing? Moot court. First year. So we go into court, right? Our practicals, we've got law clinic. When you look at the career fairs, we've got law firms. We've got, everybody telling us about admission and admission only,
Mhm.
right? So I did not do my due diligence to find out if there was anything else I could do, because essentially when I started with my LLB degree, I wanted to be a magistrate. So I thought I was on the right path. So I didn't really do any additional research. So now I got out and I was like, of course, articles or nothing. Then I hopped into articles, and I did not do any like I did not know what else there was to do. So when I was
Mm.
in practice and I did not like being in practice, it was so difficult for me because I literally had no idea. Like I was like, okay, from here, where do I go? What do I do? And I literally had to basically have the deepest conversation with myself to say what it is that you really want to do with your life. Just
Yeah.
put the degree aside. What do you want to do with your life? And I made a long list of stuff that doesn't even make any sense, but today it has come together to form what I do. And I made a long list of things that I want to do. And it was only then that I started, making the research, like how can I take my passions and my LLB degree and put them together. So that's basically how I got to being where I am right now. But essentially, I had no idea, literally no idea, that there was anything else I could do with my LLB degree. So ignorance is not bliss, everyone.
Mhm.
Ignorance is not bliss. It will cost you. It will take you through a long journey. But at the same time, I'm very grateful for the fact that I am admitted, because I get to do the things that I do because of the scars I got from admission, because of the
Yeah.
scars of going through articles and stuff. I get to do what I do compassionately because I've been through it. So, I know what I'm talking about.
Love
Because
that.
I've been through it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, you speak about you were headhunted, they saw you, and they were like, we are creating this post for you. We want you here. Now, speak to somebody who doesn't have that luxury of somebody saying, I'm creating this post for you, and somebody who wants to get into your space. What do you think are the channels that they can take to enter?
So I would definitely say if you don't plan on getting admitted, then I would definitely suggest actually getting some experience before you actually finish your LLB degree. So just as if you would want to apply for articles, you would go and you would shadow at a law firm, or you'll work as a paralegal or a legal secretary, whatever like that. But if you want to go into compliance, then you'll obviously try and see which firms actually have a compliance department. And then you can just email them and ask them, listen, is it possible for me to come and shadow you? Do you have some tips for me? And you would really be surprised how helpful people can be. So I know I believe in LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. People always say I'm super weird because I
Same,
love LinkedIn. Yeah, but I love
same.
LinkedIn. It has so many amazing opportunities and you get to connect with so many amazing people. So what I always tell somebody who wants to go actually into like any space at all is network. And what I mean by network is don't connect with people on LinkedIn and immediately send them this message that says, hello, please, can you give me a job? Because that happens a lot. No. Go and see what
No.
this person does. Tell them why you are approaching them. Maybe even do the groundwork and maybe comment on some of their posts. Try to network first, build a connection. And then you can ask them, listen, do you have any advice for me? Do you maybe know of any opportunity where I can get some skills in this specific department? And people are really generally always happy to help. I'm also super happy to help. If anybody wants to contact me to put them into contact with other people who may assist them to get into this space. But I would also recommend doing some short courses. So if you don't want to maybe do your master's degree in corporate law or something like that, then I would definitely recommend doing a compliance course. A lot of the universities in South Africa have compliance courses. Some of them are a bit pricey, but I think it's definitely worth it. And if you can't do that, or if you can and you want to do some short courses as well, there's different short courses on things like BBBE, things like FICA compliance, POPI compliance. So little short courses that you can do that will not even cost you like 200 Rand. That will also
Mm.
help you in this space to just get more information, get more knowledge.
Hmm. You know
I hope that
what you
helps.
said? No, you see what you have just said in that answer. I have been screaming this from the rooftops that reach out to people. If you are still a student, send emails and ask to shadow. On my TikTok, I tell them, I say, don't tell me you have sent emails if you have sent less than 100
Mm,
proper emails. That's your
proper
minimum.
emails.
Somebody's going to reply, right? Because you're just shadowing. I'm always for job shadowing and just looking for opportunities and just putting yourself out there, because when people know you, you are the first person that they would recommend or think about when they have a post like this. It was about 2 weeks ago, if not 3 weeks ago, when I was back in Pretoria, and I was invited to guest mentor at a mentorship session. And one of the things that the big mentee was telling the mentors was that there was a time in her firm they needed somebody, and because she has basically a database of graduate, she basically tapped into that first before
Oh,
actually
wow.
advertising. She was like,
Yeah,
I tapped into that first, and then if nobody was interested, then I was going to advertise to the general public. And she's not the first person to say this. I think it was like a while back, I was advertising for one of my friends at their firm. They wanted somebody who was going to be there for like 2 months. And she was like, because you know so many graduates, ask them, and then if nobody's interested, then we can advertise to the general public. So this is something that actually happens, and you'll only know about these opportunities if you network and you know people and you just introduce yourself. Sometimes it's cringy, but do it. Sometimes it's
just do it.
cringy, but do it. Just do it. Just do it. That's basically how you can get your foot through the door. So I also want to ask about the entry level salaries. This is a question I get so often on here. What are the entry level salaries in your space?
So it would generally depend on where you work, how big the company is, how big the compliance department is. But a starting salary would definitely be more than what candidate attorneys get. Um, so you would maybe start with like a 11,000 Rand salary up until like 15, give or take with a start salary.
Mm-hmm.
I think the lowest that I've heard about was like 10,000 Rand. So it just
Mm,
depends on
mm.
like where you start. And I think that's also a very difficult thing, especially with a space like this, because there's not a lot of info on the internet about what the salary should be. So then usually people will ask you, so what is your like expected
What do
salary?
you
And then you have no
expect?
idea. Then you have no idea. But what I've actually learned, I've never been very good at marketing myself. Like if somebody tells me I'm offering you this salary, I would just say, cool, I'm taking it, or no, sorry, I'm not taking it. That's not enough.
Yeah.
I would not
No
negotiate. But
negotiation.
what I've learned is from some of my friends is you need to negotiate. Like if they offer you a set salary, then just say, listen, is there any possibility that I can maybe get like 2K more, for example? Like how can we make that possible? Is there a possibility? Because sometimes you can negotiate a better salary, and yeah, if you don't try, you'll never know. The
Mm.
worst they can say is no.
Is no. That's correct. Absolutely love that. So, Danielle, considering what you know about your space, what do you think is a great work ethic for anybody who wants to get into that space? We hear quite a lot when people say that the younger generation don't really have a great work ethic in the workplace. They're not really doing the right things. So, given what you know, what do you think is a great work ethic to have in your space?
So I think it's definitely necessary for you to be willing to learn, because the law is always going to be developing. So, for example, in specifically in compliance, the company law, so there's been a few amendments. So you need to be able to and willing to go and look, listen, what amendments were there? How is it going to affect what we are doing? How is it going to affect what our clients are doing? So always be willing to learn. And I always say, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but you can't be a lazy person. So I know there's like this
Mm.
this this new trend where people just say, listen, you just do what's necessary and you go home, which is fine. I believe in work-life balance, but you need to work hard. You can't just sit back and just hope everything happens. So it's something that
Mm.
you need to be willing to work hard, and you need to be willing to put in the time and the effort. And that's also something that starts in your LLB. I know you
Oh,
won't get,
yes.
most people won't get like straight A's for everything, but you need to be willing to, put in the effort and start there
Mm-hmm.
already to like, that's why I said I'm going to get a lot of hate for it. But I think you should start working hard from the beginning of your career. Then another
Mm-hmm.
thing that you need to be able to do is also have a lot of good planning skills, because it's a lot of things that need to happen at the same time. So you need to be able to put in your diary, like today I need to do this. Tomorrow this contract needs to be reviewed. And you need to be able to keep to that.
I love that. That's true. Like you have to work hard. And another thing that people might not realize is that you're indirectly auditioning for your next role as well.
Exactly.
If your employer is like, this person is not really the best person to work with. You don't want all of that. So,
Mm.
Danielle, just to wrap things up, what do you want to say to somebody who wants to get into the space, doesn't really know, they're considering it, they're at that phase, they're like, okay, I've heard you speak. What can you say to a person who just wants to get into a space?
First thing I would say is just take a breath. You will be okay. There's a lot of options for you. There's a lot of things that you can do with your LLB degree. Don't let people pressure you into pursuing a specific career path. You can still make money. You can still be very happy. You can still be very successful without being a traditional attorney or advocate. That's fine. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
just speak to people. Like we said now, speak to people, like ask them, like, how is it working in this specific career? What advice do you have for me? What type of personality do you need? Just speak to people. Yeah, basically that's what the only thing. And network.
Mm-hmm. And network. Danielle, that was absolutely amazing. You have dropped so many gems. Thank you so, so much. I appreciate you for taking the time to just speak to us and drop this wealth of knowledge on my channel. And I know that somebody is going to benefit greatly from it. So thank you so, so much for your time. And for those of you watching, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Drop down to the comment section and leave a comment for me or Danielle, and we will get back to you. And please don't forget to share this episode with somebody who you know could use this information. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on my next one. Until then, I'm sending you tons of love and light. Bye, everyone.
Bye.